in without trying. He's not loud. He's not desperate to impress. And yet, everywhere he goes, people notice him, especially women. Women sense something different in him. Not the kind of difference that screams for approval, but one that whispers of mystery, control, and depth. This is the Sigma male, independent, self-contained, and impossible to label. When a woman finds herself around a man like this, her behavior often changes in subtle, almost hidden ways. She might not even understand why. It's instinctive. Something in her psyche responds to that quiet confidence, that self-possession that doesn't need validation. This isn't about manipulation or games, it's about psychology. Humans have always been drawn to what they can't easily define. And Sigma males embody that enigma. They operate outside the hierarchy that most people unconsciously follow. They don't try to dominate, but they can't be dominated either. That balance of power, rooted in self-respect, creates an invisible tension that women both respect and can't quite decipher. Today we'll explore 7 strange things women secretly do around Sigma males. They might not confess it, and most of it happens beneath the surface. But once you understand these behaviors, you'll see how presence, not pursuit, shapes true attraction. So sit back, breathe. Let's peel back the quiet layers of what happens when a woman encounters a man who truly knows himself. Number 1, she mirrors his energy. When a Sigma male speaks softly, moves deliberately, or pauses before responding, women unconsciously mirror that energy. And it's not coincidence. It's a well-documented psychological phenomenon known as behavioral mirroring. This subtle imitation happens when one person instinctively copies the body language, tone, or mannerisms of another, often without realizing it. Behavioral scientists have found that mirroring is one of the clearest signs of rapport and emotional connection. It's how humans signal trust, empathy, and mutual understanding. In social psychology, this is tied to the chameleon effect, a term coined by researchers Tanya Chartrand and John Bargh, who discovered that people tend to mimic those they like or admire. For Sigma males who are naturally composed, introspective, and emotionally grounded, this mirroring effect often becomes more pronounced because their calm presence provides a psychological anchor in an overstimulated world. When he speaks slowly, it's not hesitation, it's control. His deliberate movements show self-mastery, a rare quality that conveys confidence without arrogance. As a result, women unconsciously adjust to his pace. Her speech softens, her posture relaxes, and even her breathing subtly syncs with his. It's not manipulation, it's resonance, the body's natural way of saying, I feel safe here. This is especially powerful in modern environments where people are used to fast talkers, exaggerated gestures, and emotional turbulence. The Sigma's slow rhythm feels like silence in a storm, calm, magnetic, and grounding. Evolutionary psychology suggests this response is deeply rooted. Throughout history, women were drawn to men who exuded emotional stability and self-control, traits that signal protection and intelligence. A Sigma's composure subconsciously communicates that he can handle chaos without becoming it. That's why she mirrors him. Her mind instinctively aligns with his steadiness, seeking the same internal peace he embodies. In essence, the Sigma male doesn't need to dominate a room to command presence. His quiet energy does the work for him. The more he slows down, the more others unconsciously adjust to match his frequency. This mirroring becomes a dance of unspoken connection, where 2 nervous systems begin to harmonize without a single word. And that's the hidden power of the Sigma's silence. It doesn't repel people, it recalibrates them. His energy speaks louder than words, reminding everyone around him that true influence isn't in how loudly you move, but in how deeply your stillness is felt. Number 2, she tests his composure. Women naturally test men's emotional stability, not out of malice, but instinct. It's part of an age-old psychological pattern rooted in human attraction and social biology. In evolutionary psychology, this behavior is linked to mate selection. Women are often drawn to men who exhibit emotional control, resilience, and confidence under pressure. These traits historically signaled strength, protection, and the ability to handle life's unpredictability. Around a sigma male, these subtle tests intensify, not because she wants to unsettle him, but because his calm energy invites curiosity. A sigma's quiet demeanor, his ability to remain detached from chaos, makes her wonder if it's genuine peace or a practiced mask. So she might tease him, delay a text reply, or make a playful comment just sharp enough to test his emotional temperature. When she does, she's observing, does his composure crack, or does he stay steady? The Sigma's strength lies in his ability to respond with calm indifference. He doesn't chase validation or react defensively. Instead, he stays grounded in his own emotional world. This non-reactivity isn't coldness, it's self-mastery. And in a world where emotional volatility is common, that level of control feels magnetic. Psychologists refer to this as emotional regulation, the capacity to manage one's feelings without suppressing them. Studies show that people who regulate their emotions effectively tend to form healthier, more secure relationships. The Sigma embodies this balance, calm but not detached, present but not needy. When a woman sees that her teasing or delays don't rattle him, something shifts internally. She feels both challenged and reassured. Challenged because she realizes she can't easily control his emotions. Reassured because his steadiness offers a sense of safety and maturity. It's an emotional paradox. His independence makes her feel more secure. This is why women often describe the Sigma as mysterious or different. His peace doesn't depend on her reactions. It's an internal state built on self-respect and discipline. In essence, when a woman subtly tests a Sigma male, she's not looking for drama, she's searching for truth. She wants to know if the calm he carries is real or merely an act. And when he proves that it's genuine, that his serenity isn't shaken by teasing words or temporary distance, he earns not just her attraction, but also her trust. Because deep down, every woman longs for a man whose peace can steady her storms, and the Sigma quietly passes that test without even trying. Number 3, she studies his silence. Most men rush to fill silence. Sigma males don't. They're comfortable in it. To most people, silence is awkward. It creates tension that demands to be broken. But for a Sigma male, silence isn't a void. It's a presence. It's his natural environment, a space where thoughts breathe and emotions settle. In psychology, this calmness under quiet moments reflects a high level of emotional intelligence and self-regulation. He doesn't speak to seek validation or to impress anyone. Instead, his silence acts as a filter, allowing him to observe before engaging. Women often find themselves drawn to this stillness because it signals depth and control, traits that subconsciously communicate strength and confidence. When a man can remain centered in silence, it suggests he doesn't depend on external approval for his sense of worth. That's rare, and rarity captures attention. What's fascinating is that silence itself is a psychological tool. Studies in communication suggest that people reveal more when they feel compelled to fill a silence, while the person who remains quiet gains insight. Sigma males instinctively understand this. By not rushing to talk, they give others the room to express themselves more freely, often revealing what's beneath the surface. This creates an invisible power dynamic. He leads the interaction without forcing it. The woman, meanwhile, begins to study his body language, his micro-expressions, and his composure, trying to interpret what his silence means. The mystery becomes magnetic. His restraint turns into intrigue, his quietness into presence. This effect ties closely to a concept in psychology called the Zeigarnik effect, which states that people remember incomplete experiences more vividly than finished ones. When a Sigma male withholds his thoughts or emotions, he leaves conversations feeling incomplete in the mind of the other person, especially women who are naturally intuitive and detail-oriented. They keep replaying those moments, wondering what he meant, what he felt, and what he didn't say. His silence becomes a psychological loop, drawing their attention back to him long after the interaction ends. But this isn't manipulation, it's authenticity. His silence isn't a tactic, it's a reflection of self-mastery. He doesn't speak unless there's value in his words. And in a world where noise dominates, that kind of discipline becomes power. So while most men talk to be noticed, Sigma males understand the paradox. Sometimes the loudest statement is made without saying a word. Number 4, she tries to earn his attention. Because Sigma males rarely seek validation, women instinctively find themselves drawn into a subtle psychological game they didn't even know they were playing. There's something magnetic about a man who doesn't need to be noticed, and that magnetism comes from his self-sufficiency. He doesn't chase attention, nor does he seek approval through constant talking, showing off, or exaggerated charm. This emotional independence activates a deep evolutionary response in women's psychology. Throughout history, confidence without neediness has been associated with power and stability, traits that signal safety and leadership. So when a woman encounters a Sigma male who exudes calm detachment, her subconscious begins to test whether she can earn his focus. She might start mirroring his tone or matching his body language without realizing it, an instinctive behavior known in psychology as social mirroring, a subtle way the human brain builds rapport. She may also steer conversations toward more meaningful or intellectual topics, abandoning surface-level chatter. It's her way of proving she's worthy of his mental engagement. In those moments, her voice softens, her curiosity deepens, and her focus sharpens. These behavioral shifts aren't acts of manipulation. They're an unconscious attempt to connect with someone who doesn't play by the usual social rules. The Sigma male's quiet confidence disrupts the predictable rhythm of attraction. While most men might try to impress or dominate attention, he remains centered and emotionally still, like a calm lake in a noisy world. Eye contact becomes another silent battlefield. Women tend to seek it more often around Sigma males, hoping to decode the mystery behind that unreadable gaze. According to behavioral studies, prolonged eye contact releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone, which can intensify emotional interest. Yet when a Sigma male doesn't immediately return that gaze, or does so with controlled restraint, it deepens the intrigue. His lack of visible reaction becomes a kind of power, creating a psychological push and pull effect that's more compelling than any flirtatious gesture. What makes this dynamic even more fascinating is that it's not rooted in arrogance. It's rooted in presence. Sigma males have mastered the art of being fully in the moment, detached from external validation. This gives them a grounded aura that naturally commands respect, while others seek attention to feel valued. The Sigma's indifference to approval makes others seek him. In the end, it's not the chase that defines his appeal, it's the peace in his silence, the confidence in his stillness, and the mystery of a man who doesn't need to be noticed, to be remembered. Number 5, she adapts her femininity. In the presence of quiet strength, women often soften, not out of submission, but out of balance. There's something profoundly magnetic about a man who doesn't need to prove himself, whose confidence speaks in silence rather than noise. This is the essence of the Sigma male, self-contained, grounded, and emotionally unshakable. His calm energy doesn't dominate a room. It stabilizes it. Psychologically, this taps into what's known as emotional regulation, an individual's ability to manage and respond to emotional experiences in a composed way. Research in social psychology shows that emotional stability is one of the most attractive traits across genders because it signals security, maturity, and leadership potential. When a woman encounters a man who embodies this stillness, her nervous system subconsciously mirrors his. The chaos of modern life, the constant overthinking, the emotional noise, finds rest in his quiet presence. It's not about control or hierarchy, it's about energetic alignment. Masculine calm naturally invites feminine grace forward, creating an unspoken dance between confidence and receptivity. In biology, this can be linked to the concept of sexual dimorphism, not just physical differences, but behavioral complementarity. Masculine energy, rooted in focus and direction, often balances feminine energy, which thrives in flow and connection. When these forces meet in equilibrium, both individuals feel more authentic and grounded. Women don't soften because they're weaker. They soften because they feel safe enough to express their nurturing essence without fear of judgment or dominance. The Sigma male doesn't chase or manipulate that softness. He earns it through consistency, self-discipline, and emotional intelligence. In evolutionary psychology, such traits signal reliability, making him an ideal partner archetype. What's fascinating is that this harmony can't be forced or faked. It happens when both energies recognize and respect each other's nature. The Sigma's quiet confidence acts as a mirror, reflecting back a woman's own depth, inviting her to be fully present, fully feminine, and fully seen. This is why his presence feels different. It isn't performative. It's peaceful. It's not loud strength, it's silent assurance. In a world where many try to impress through volume, the Sigma male influences through vibration. His silence speaks, his stillness stabilizes, and his self-mastery awakens something ancient and sacred in those around him. The eternal dance between masculine calm and feminine grace, where both find balance in being, not performing. Number 6, she protects her vulnerability. Sigma males possess an uncanny ability to see through facades, a kind of emotional X-ray vision that cuts past superficial charm and empty gestures. This intuitive awareness often leaves women feeling both intrigued and cautious. Psychologically, it's rooted in what researchers call social perception, the capacity to read micro-expressions, tone shifts, and body language to decode true intent. Sigma males being highly observant and analytical. Excel in this naturally. They pick up inconsistencies others miss. And that awareness can make a woman instinctively more guarded at first. It's not fear, it's respect for emotional intelligence. She realizes this man can't be easily deceived or impressed by surface-level attraction. Instead, his calm detachment and penetrating insight challenge her to be genuine. Studies in interpersonal dynamics show that authenticity becomes more pronounced when people sense they're being truly seen. So while she may initially withhold her emotions, testing the waters of his depth, something shifts over time. His steady, grounded presence invites vulnerability, the kind built on trust, not impulse. In essence, a Sigma male's perceptiveness acts like a mirror. It reflects truth, dissolves pretense, and silently demands honesty. And in a world where image often replaces substance, that quality becomes irresistibly magnetic. Number 7, she reflects on herself after he's gone. Long after the conversation ends, she still finds herself thinking about him. Not because of his looks, but because of how he made her feel. There was something deeply grounding about his presence, a quiet confidence that didn't demand attention yet drew it effortlessly. This is the power of authenticity, a quality that can't be faked or rehearsed. In psychology, authenticity is linked to emotional intelligence, the ability to understand oneself and express that truth without fear of judgment. Sigma males embody this naturally. They don't mold themselves to fit in or chase validation. Instead, they remain rooted in who they are. This emotional steadiness creates a magnetic energy that subtly influences others. When a woman interacts with a Sigma male, she feels a rare sense of safety mixed with curiosity. Her mind can't categorize him, and her emotions sense something profound, a kind of peace that challenges her usual expectations. Unlike men who rely on charm or appearance, the Sigma male resonates on a deeper psychological frequency. He engages not through performance but through presence. That's why even when he's gone, his memory lingers, not in the mind's checklist of attraction, but in the soul's quiet recognition of something real. Women aren't attracted to Sigma males merely because they appear mysterious. It's because they embody a kind of masculinity that feels authentic and grounded. In psychology, this reflects the principle of emotional stability, an aura of calm confidence that creates safety and intrigue. While many chase validation or attention, the Sigma stands firm in his independence. In a chaotic world, his silence becomes a luxury, and that quiet strength leaves a lasting impression. There's a truth most men spend their lives avoiding, a quiet, uncomfortable truth that doesn't roar but whispers in the silence. You are on your own. Not in a cruel or lonely sense, but in a deeply liberating one. Because the moment you stop expecting the world to understand your journey, you finally begin to understand yourself. This is the foundation of the Sigma male mindset. Sigmas have learned that peace isn't born from attention or approval. It's born from inner certainty. In a world obsessed with social validation and external recognition, the Sigma walks differently. He knows that the applause of others can vanish as quickly as it arrives, but the respect you build within yourself lasts a lifetime. Psychology calls this self-determination, the ability to guide your own life through autonomy and competence rather than dependence on others' opinions. A Sigma's silence isn't emptiness, it's concentration. His solitude isn't sadness, it's strategy. He doesn't rush to belong because he understands that belonging at the cost of authenticity is a silent form of slavery. Instead of chasing acceptance, he observes. He studies environments, energies, and intentions. He decides whether a situation deserves his presence, not the other way around. This calm detachment often intimidates people who rely on constant social feedback to feel secure. They misinterpret his self-sufficiency as arrogance, when in truth it's self-mastery. What many fail to grasp is that emotional independence is a rare form of power. When you no longer depend on approval, you become unshakable. You control your emotions, your time, and your peace. This mirrors the Stoic principle of apatheia, freedom from the control of external chaos. Yet the paradox remains. The very strength that makes a Sigma resilient also makes him misunderstood. Society celebrates conformity, but fears independence. Most men crave peace, but fear solitude, crave confidence, but fear rejection, and crave power, but fear the silence required to build it. The Sigma embraces that silence. He walks through it, learns from it, and emerges stronger, proving that true freedom begins not when the world understands you, but when you no longer need it to. Number 1, the truth about solitude. Solitude is not punishment, it's preparation. For Sigma males, isolation isn't a cage, it's a classroom. In a world obsessed with constant noise, attention, and validation, stepping away from the crowd becomes an act of quiet rebellion. While most people equate solitude with loneliness or social rejection, Sigmas recognize it as an opportunity to hear what truly matters, their own inner voice. Psychologically, solitude enhances self-awareness and emotional regulation. Studies in cognitive science reveal that spending time alone helps the brain shift from social processing to introspection, strengthening areas responsible for creativity, problem-solving, and long-term vision. It's why many innovators, philosophers, and leaders throughout history, people like Nikola Tesla, Isaac Newton, and even Albert Einstein, embraced solitude as part of their growth. When a Sigma male withdraws, he's not avoiding the world. He's observing it from a distance. This detachment sharpens perception. It teaches discernment, the ability to see through manipulation, groupthink, and superficial trends. In that silence, his mind declutters, ideas take shape, and his purpose gains clarity. While others chase external validation, he refines internal mastery. Solitude becomes his forge, where distractions melt away and self-discipline hardens into strength. In sociology, this concept aligns with the introverted autonomy principle, where individuals who thrive in solitude tend to have stronger independence and resistance to peer pressure. They act not because others expect them to, but because their convictions demand it. Yet solitude isn't always comfortable. It exposes one's fears, insecurities, and suppressed thoughts. But this discomfort is exactly what refines the Sigma male. Instead of running from it, he confronts it. He studies his emotions like a strategist studies an opponent, calmly, analytically, with intent to understand and master them. This inner confrontation births resilience. Over time, his solitude transforms into solitude of strength, the kind that allows him to move through life with composure, even amid chaos. He no longer needs the crowd to feel complete, because he's learned the rarest lesson of all: peace comes from within. In essence, Sigma males see solitude not as isolation, but as incubation, a sacred space where purpose matures quietly. While the world is busy talking, they're busy transforming. When they finally step back into society, they do so with vision, certainty, and an energy that commands respect without a word. Because true preparation is done in silence, long before the world begins to listen. Number 2, the truth about validation. Most men move through life wearing invisible masks, performing roles that win them approval. They measure success by the claps they receive, the likes they earn, or the validation others give them. But beneath the noise of social acceptance lies a quieter, more powerful path, the Sigma path. A Sigma male understands that applause fades, but mastery endures. He doesn't seek recognition for every step forward because he knows that real strength isn't built in the spotlight. It's forged in silence. This mindset is rooted in psychology. Studies show that people driven by intrinsic motivation, the inner desire to improve and grow, experience deeper satisfaction and higher long-term success than those who chase external validation. Sigmas embody this principle effortlessly. Their satisfaction comes from progress, not praise. When most men seek attention, the Sigma seeks alignment. He masters his craft not to prove anything to anyone, but to elevate himself to his highest potential. Whether he's building a business, training his body, or mastering a skill, his goal is inner excellence. This mindset mirrors the philosophy of self-determination theory in behavioral science, the idea that true fulfillment comes from autonomy, competence, and purpose. A Sigma male thrives in these three domains. He values independence over conformity, seeks competence over comfort, and lives by purpose, not popularity. In a world obsessed with performance, his quiet discipline becomes his rebellion. He doesn't need an audience to confirm his worth. He becomes his own standard. This emotional independence is rare. It takes maturity to walk away from the crowd and trust your path. While others measure success in likes and status, the Sigma measures it in consistency, peace, and growth. He finds meaning in mastering his emotions, staying calm under pressure, detached from chaos, and focused amid distractions. Neuroscience supports this too. Those who practice emotional regulation activate the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for decision-making and control, giving them an edge in resilience and clarity. Ultimately, the Sigma's validation comes from mastery over his craft, his emotions, and his discipline. It's not about being better than others, it's about being better than he was yesterday. And while the world may not always applaud that, it silently respects it. Because deep down, everyone recognizes that the man who needs no validation holds the most power. Number 3, the truth about rejection. Rejection doesn't wound a Sigma, it refines him. Unlike most people who view rejection as a form of failure or personal inadequacy, the Sigma male sees it as a signal, an arrow pointing him towards something greater. He understands that rejection isn't personal, it's redirection. This mindset is grounded not just in confidence, but in self-awareness and psychological resilience. Studies in behavioral psychology show that people who interpret setbacks as opportunities for growth develop what's known as a growth mindset, a term coined by psychologist Carol Dweck. Sigmas naturally embody this. They don't crumble when someone says no. Instead, they analyze, adapt, and reroute. For them, rejection is feedback, data to refine their strategy, sharpen their purpose, and strengthen their emotional armor. When a Sigma faces rejection, be it from a job, a woman, or society, he doesn't spiral into self-pity. He reflects. He asks, what can I learn from this? Or what's being redirected here? This introspection transforms pain into progress. Neuroscientifically, the brain interprets rejection in the same way it processes physical pain, but over time, Sigmas train themselves to reframe that pain using it as mental fuel. That's why they often seem unshaken by what devastates others. Their power lies in detachment, not coldness, but clarity. They don't chase validation, they chase alignment. Every no that closes a door only frees them from paths that weren't meant for them. Think of rejection as life's filtration system. It removes what's not meant for your evolution. Many great minds operated this way. Thomas Edison faced thousands of failures before inventing the light bulb. Yet each rejection of his ideas refined his process. Sigmas adopt that same principle in relationships and ambitions alike. When a woman rejects him, he doesn't see himself as unworthy. He sees her as part of the sorting process, eliminating distractions from his mission. When society overlooks him, he doesn't protest. He uses the quiet to build something no one saw coming. Ultimately, the Sigma male knows that rejection is the universe's quality control, a divine way of aligning him with what truly resonates. It's not a setback, it's a signal. Every no is secretly a not this way. And once you stop fearing that word, you stop living defensively. You start walking boldly toward your true path, one that isn't built on approval, but on purpose. Number 4, the truth about control. Control isn't about dominating others, it's about mastering yourself. Sigma males understand this truth better than most. In a world obsessed with authority, competition, and influence, they recognize that true power doesn't come from controlling people or forcing outcomes. It comes from controlling one's own emotions, impulses, and responses. This kind of control is psychological, not physical. It's the discipline to remain calm when others panic, the patience to wait when others rush, and the strength to walk away when others cling. While society often praises the loud and aggressive, Sigma males embody a quieter form of dominance, one rooted in self-command and emotional intelligence. Psychology defines this as high self-regulation, a trait linked to better decision-making and long-term success. When you master yourself, you become unpredictable to those who rely on manipulation or chaos, because their power depends on your reaction. Sigma males remove that leverage entirely by maintaining composure. They prepare meticulously, adapt swiftly, and respond with surgical precision. It's not luck, it's strategic calmness, built through reflection, solitude, and understanding of human behavior. Studies show that individuals who practice mindfulness and self-control tend to have lower stress levels, stronger relationships, and greater achievements over time. Sigma males intuitively apply this by focusing on what they can influence, themselves, and letting go of what they can't. This mindset gives them an aura of unshakable confidence that others mistake for mystery. They aren't detached, they're deliberate. Every action they take is measured, every word intentional, while others chase approval or control through dominance. Sigmas earn respect through restraint. They know that chaos often reveals character, and the one who remains composed when others lose control always stands out as the real leader. In business, relationships, and personal life, this internal mastery becomes their greatest advantage. They adapt to uncertainty, like seasoned navigators in a storm, not by fighting the waves, but by understanding their rhythm. The more they master themselves, the less external control they need. And paradoxically, the more influence they gain. Because people naturally follow those who appear grounded and centered, even without demanding loyalty. That's the Sigma paradox. By seeking no control over others, they end up commanding more respect than those who crave it. Control for them isn't power over the world, it's peace within it. Number 5, the truth about energy. Energy is currency. And Sigma, males understand this better than anyone else. They treat their energy the way investors treat capital, with precision, patience, and a refusal to waste it on things that don't yield growth. In psychology, this aligns with the concept of emotional regulation, the ability to manage where and how you expend emotional resources. Most people leak energy through constant engagement, arguing online, chasing attention, or explaining themselves to those committed to misunderstanding them. Sigmas, however, operate differently. They know that every word spoken, every thought entertained, and every emotion spent carries a cost. So they choose silence over chaos, distance over drama, and purpose over popularity. Their discipline isn't rooted in arrogance. It's built on awareness. They've learned that mental peace and focus are the ultimate luxuries in a world addicted to noise. Neuroscientists often highlight how overstimulation through arguments, media, or emotional conflicts can exhaust the brain's prefrontal cortex, reducing decision-making clarity and willpower. Sigmas intuitively sense this. That's why they conserve their focus the way a monk guards stillness. To them, energy is not infinite. It's a sacred resource that fuels their goals, creativity, and self-mastery. This philosophy transforms the way they navigate relationships. Sigmas don't ghost people out of pride. They detach to preserve alignment. They understand that proximity to negativity drains potential, just as toxic environments weaken the immune system. Psychologically, this reflects the principle of emotional contagion, the tendency to absorb the moods and mindsets of those around us. By guarding their energy, Sigmas protect not just their mood, but their mission. In the corporate world, this discipline mirrors the Pareto principle, focusing 80% of effort on the 20% of things that truly matter. Sigmas apply this beyond business. They engage only in conversations that elevate, relationships that nourish, and goals that bring long-term value. It's not about being cold. It's about being conscious. Their peace becomes their fortress, their solitude their sanctuary, and their discipline their shield. In a world that rewards constant reaction, Sigma males thrive by mastering restraint. They understand that energy, once spent, cannot be refunded, so they invest it only where it multiplies. While others chase attention, they chase alignment. And that's why their silence, their stillness, and their selective presence speak louder than the noise of 1,000 unguarded voices. Number 6, the truth about power. Real power is invisible because it does not demand attention. It commands it through presence alone. It doesn't rely on muscles, money, or status symbols because these things are external and temporary. True power lives in self-respect, and that's what separates Sigma males from the rest. When a man has self-respect, he doesn't need to prove himself to anyone. He becomes calm, unshakable, and self-contained. His confidence isn't loud. It's quiet but undeniable. Psychology calls this internal locus of control, a mindset where one's sense of power comes from within rather than from circumstances or approval. Sigma males embody this. They know that when you depend on validation, you're handing your power away. But when you detach, when you no longer fear losing things or people, you become free. And that freedom itself is the ultimate form of power. Detachment doesn't mean coldness or lack of empathy, it means clarity. It's the ability to see things as they are, not as your emotions or ego want them to be. In Stoic philosophy, this idea is known as apatheia, a state of serenity achieved by mastering one's reactions instead of being ruled by them. Sigma males practice this naturally. They can walk away from arguments, fake friendships, and manipulative situations without losing sleep, because they understand that control is an illusion and peace is a choice. Detachment is their armor. It protects them from emotional chaos and societal pressure. In today's world, where social media glorifies attention and appearance, invisible power feels almost rebellious. But that's what makes it rare and valuable. The man who walks away from noise, who doesn't need to announce his worth, becomes magnetic. People sense it even if they can't explain why. It's the paradox of quiet strength. By not trying to control or impress others, you end up influencing them the most. In business, relationships, and life, those who can stay centered amid uncertainty rise naturally. Sigma males understand this truth. The moment you stop needing things to go your way, life starts aligning in your favor. Because real power isn't about domination, it's about discipline, emotional control, and the ability to remain unbothered in a world that constantly seeks reaction. And that kind of power, subtle, calm, and grounded, is the kind that lasts. So, if this truth feels heavy, that's okay. It's supposed to. Growth begins when illusions fall away. And when you finally stand alone, unshaken, unbothered, and aware, you'll realize you never lost anyone. You just found yourself. There's something different about a Sigma male. He moves in silence, not because he's shy, but because he values peace over attention. He doesn't chase crowds, trends, or validation. His worth doesn't depend on applause. It's rooted in his own quiet confidence. The Sigma male walks a path most people overlook, a path that requires discipline, solitude, and an unshakable sense of self. He's not against the world, but he doesn't belong to it either. He's the man who observes before speaking, who listens before deciding, and who acts with precision rather than impulse. But beneath that calm exterior lies a simple truth. Sigma males have boundaries that are non-negotiable. They may be tolerant, patient, and understanding, but there are certain things they will never allow, no matter who it comes from. Not because they are arrogant, but because they know the cost of compromising their peace. See, when you walk through life with self-respect, you stop explaining your worth. You stop entertaining nonsense. You stop tolerating behavior that pulls you out of alignment with your purpose. And that's where the Sigma mindset becomes powerful. It teaches you that silence can be stronger than confrontation, and walking away can be louder than shouting. Today, we'll explore 6 things Sigma males never tolerate. Not out of pride, but out of wisdom. Because every strong man learns that peace, once lost, is hard to regain. And those who guard it fiercely live with quiet freedom. So if you've ever felt misunderstood for choosing solitude over attention or peace over chaos, this one's for you. Let's begin. Number 1, disrespect. A Sigma male's tolerance ends the moment respect disappears. To him, respect isn't a privilege, it's the foundation of every relationship, whether personal or professional. He operates by a silent code of mutual dignity, where both parties value honesty, integrity, and space. When that foundation cracks, he doesn't explode or seek revenge. Instead, he withdraws, quietly and completely. This response may seem cold to outsiders, but it's actually rooted in emotional intelligence. Studies in behavioral psychology suggest that people with strong self-awareness and high emotional regulation, traits Sigma males often display, are less likely to engage in unnecessary conflict. They conserve their energy for growth rather than wasting it on ego battles. The Sigma male understands that arguing with disrespectful people rarely leads to understanding. It only feeds chaos. So, When someone talks down to him, manipulates him, or tries to control him, he recognizes it as a projection of insecurity, not strength. His detachment becomes his armor. This self-respect-driven boundary often intimidates others because it reflects power without aggression, the kind of confidence that doesn't need to shout. In social dynamics, such quiet strength can shift the balance of interaction. According to research on dominance hierarchies, individuals who remain calm under pressure are often perceived as more competent and authoritative. That's why Sigma males rarely need to prove their worth. Their composure speaks louder than any confrontation. When he walks away, it's not out of weakness. It's a statement that his peace is non-negotiable. Over time, people who lose a Sigma's respect often come to realize that silence can be the loudest consequence of all. His quiet exit leaves a void that forces reflection. Because in his world, respect is the currency of connection. And once it's spent carelessly, there's no refund. A man who respects himself never begs others to do the same. He knows that real respect cannot be demanded. It must be earned, nurtured, and reciprocated. The Sigma male's strength lies in this understanding that dignity is not something you fight for with words, but something you uphold with actions. In a society obsessed with validation and attention, his calm refusal to engage in disrespect makes him stand apart. A reminder that silence, when backed by self-respect, is the most powerful form of response. Number 2, dishonesty. Sigma males live by clarity because, to them, truth is the foundation of peace. Lies, hidden motives, and manipulation don't just irritate them. They cloud their mental landscape, turning a sharp, focused mind into a foggy battlefield. The Sigma thrives in mental stillness, in environments where honesty and transparency allow him to think, act, and grow without distortion. This trait isn't about being cold or emotionless. It's about self-preservation. Studies in psychology suggest that deception increases cognitive dissonance, the inner conflict caused when one's beliefs don't align with reality. Sigma males instinctively avoid this dissonance, knowing that dishonesty, whether from others or themselves, disrupts their inner balance and decision-making clarity. They value authenticity even when it's uncomfortable because truth in its raw form helps them understand people's real intentions. For them, a painful truth is better than a comforting lie, because only the truth can guide their next step with certainty. In relationships, whether personal or professional, honesty acts as a form of loyalty in a Sigma's world. When someone chooses to be truthful, even when it risks tension or conflict, the Sigma sees that as a sign of respect. He believes loyalty isn't proven by words of affection or constant agreement, but by the courage to be real. This view ties into evolutionary psychology, where trust is seen as a survival mechanism. Human brains evolved to detect deception because cooperation required reliability. Sigma males take this to heart. They guard their circles fiercely, ensuring every connection is built on integrity. Once someone breaks that trust, it's almost impossible to regain. That isn't bitterness, it's discipline. It's a recognition that betrayal once tasted can never be forgotten, and that energy spent on second chances often robs focus from purpose. Ultimately, the Sigma male's relationship with truth defines his strength. His silence isn't mysterious arrogance, it's mental hygiene. By filtering out deceit and fake personas, he creates a life of clarity, independence, and self-mastery. In a world where many wear masks, the Sigma's greatest weapon is transparency. He doesn't play games because his mind is his kingdom. and he won't allow lies to invade it. To live in truth is, for him, the purest form of freedom. Number 3, emotional manipulation. He recognizes guilt trips, silent treatment, and emotional blackmail for what they truly are, tools of control. The Sigma male, grounded in self-awareness and emotional intelligence, refuses to be manipulated by these tactics. When someone tries to provoke him through guilt, hoping he'll bend or apologize just to keep the peace, he doesn't take the bait. He understands that guilt is often used as emotional currency by those who can't control him through logic or respect. Instead of reacting impulsively, he observes with calm detachment, seeing the situation for what it is, rather than how it's meant to make him feel. This is not coldness, it's emotional discipline, an ability to stay centered amid manipulation. In psychology, this aligns with the concept of emotional regulation, the conscious control over one's emotional state. People who master this skill tend to maintain clearer thinking and healthier boundaries, while those who don't often fall prey to others' emotional games. The Sigma male's silence in such moments isn't weakness, it's strategy. He understands that engaging with manipulation gives it power. When someone uses the silent treatment to punish him, he doesn't chase. He lets the silence work in his favor. He knows that the one who reacts first often loses control of the situation. By remaining calm and grounded, he shifts the balance of power back to himself. This mindset mirrors Stoic philosophy, especially teachings from thinkers like Marcus Aurelius, who emphasize that no one can truly harm you without your consent, not physically, but emotionally. The Sigma male applies this wisdom in everyday interactions, refusing to let others dictate how he should feel. His real power lies in not reacting, because reaction is a form of surrender. Modern neuroscience supports this idea. When you react emotionally, your amygdala, the brain's emotional center, takes control, clouding rational thought. By staying composed, the Sigma male keeps his prefrontal cortex engaged, allowing logic and reason to lead instead of impulse. This self-mastery makes him appear unshakable, mysterious, and even intimidating to those who rely on manipulation as their weapon. He knows that whoever controls your emotions controls you, and he will never hand that power away. To the world, it might seem like indifference, but in truth, it's wisdom in motion. A deep understanding that peace is not found in control, but in the ability to remain untouched by chaos. Number 4, gossip and negativity. A Sigma male protects his mental space like it's sacred ground, because to him it truly is. His mind is his most powerful asset, where his ideas are born, his strategies are crafted, and his peace is maintained. He knows that the quality of his thoughts determines the quality of his life, so he guards them carefully. This is why he avoids gossip, drama, and constant negativity. They're like parasites that feed off emotional energy and cloud mental clarity. Psychologists have long emphasized the impact of emotional contagion, the phenomenon where people absorb the moods and attitudes of those around them. A Sigma male understands this instinctively. He knows that spending too much time around negative, toxic, or shallow conversations can rewire the brain toward cynicism and stress. So, he creates boundaries, not to isolate himself, but to preserve his focus and emotional balance. Instead of wasting his attention on rumors or trivial conflicts, the Sigma male invests it in conversations that nurture his intellect and spirit. He gravitates toward discussions about ideas, self-improvement, philosophy, and purpose. Research in social psychology shows that people who engage in deep, meaningful conversations tend to experience higher levels of life satisfaction and emotional well-being. This aligns perfectly with the Sigma's nature. He's not interested in small talk or surface-level chatter. He seeks substance. When someone speaks with authenticity, he listens intently. But when conversations turn to envy, comparison, or idle speculation, he knows it's time to step away. He does this quietly, without confrontation, because he doesn't need to prove his boundaries. He simply lives by them. What makes him different is that his solitude isn't loneliness. It's self-preservation. He uses quiet moments to recharge, reflect, and refine his mindset. This detachment from unnecessary noise allows him to maintain emotional stability in a chaotic world. Neuroscientists have found that prolonged exposure to negativity activates the amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for fear and stress. The Sigma male avoids this mental trap by being selective about what he allows into his consciousness. His environment, both physical and emotional, is designed to promote growth, not distraction. He understands that peace isn't found. It's built, one boundary at a time. And so when someone's energy doesn't elevate his, he doesn't argue or explain. He simply moves elsewhere, leaving behind chaos and walking toward clarity. That is the quiet discipline of a Sigma male, protecting his mind so his purpose remains unshaken. Number 5, lack of accountability. Sigma males have a deep appreciation for accountability, a trait that defines their relationships, leadership, and personal philosophy. They respect people who own their actions, not because they expect perfection, but because honesty builds trust. In a world filled with excuses and deflections, a person who simply says, "Yes, that was my fault," earns a Sigma's respect faster than someone who hides behind justifications. Psychologically, this mindset aligns with the principle of locus of control, a concept in behavioral science that describes whether individuals believe they have control over their lives or blame external forces. Sigma males operate with an internal locus of control. They take responsibility for their outcomes, whether good or bad. That's why they naturally distance themselves from those who habitually make excuses. Such people drain energy and weaken accountability within any relationship or team. To a Sigma, forgiveness and responsibility are not opposites, they coexist. He can forgive mistakes easily because he understands that failure is part of growth. But excuses, that's a different story. Excuses represent a refusal to learn. They mask insecurity and prevent progress. When someone blames the system, their parents, or bad luck, instead of reflecting inward, the Sigma sees it as emotional immaturity. Neuroscience backs this up. When we justify our errors rather than owning them, the brain's anterior cingulate cortex, the region responsible for learning from mistakes, becomes less active. In simple terms, people who never admit fault stop growing. Sigma males recognize this pattern instinctively, which is why they prefer to walk alone rather than surround themselves with those who refuse to evolve. Maturity to the Sigma male isn't measured by age or accomplishments, it's measured by self-awareness. Taking responsibility means facing uncomfortable truths and doing what must be done without needing applause. It's about saying, "This is my life, and I am responsible for what it becomes." This mindset creates strength, discipline, and independence, the very core of the Sigma identity. When someone refuses to own their actions, the Sigma quietly steps back. He doesn't argue or preach. He simply understands they're not yet ready to walk beside him. In a world full of people seeking validation, the Sigma male moves differently. He values truth over comfort, accountability over excuses, and growth over blame. That's what separates him from the crowd, and why his respect is something you can't demand, it's something you earn. Number 6, control or possession. Above all, Sigma males value freedom. It is not just a preference, it is their oxygen, their natural state of being. Unlike others who may find comfort in structure or validation from society, the Sigma male thrives in autonomy. He's a man who lives by his own code, guided not by the approval of others, but by the integrity of his principles. This doesn't mean he is cold or incapable of love, quite the opposite. When a Sigma male loves, he does so with depth, intention, and loyalty. However, his love is never rooted in possession. It's built on respect and trust. He believes that the healthiest relationships are those where both individuals remain free to be themselves, where connection enhances individuality rather than erasing it. From a psychological perspective, this mindset reflects a strong sense of self-determination theory, the belief that humans thrive when they can make choices aligned with their values and autonomy. Sigma males embody this principle effortlessly. Their freedom fuels their creativity, emotional balance, and sense of purpose. They see control not as love, but as manipulation, and any attempt to restrict their individuality triggers an instinctive retreat. To them, a relationship or environment that demands conformity is a cage, and no matter how comfortable it looks, they will never stay in it for long. Historically, many figures who embodied Sigma energy, like Nikola Tesla, Bruce Lee, or even Albert Einstein, shared this uncompromising devotion to independence. They walked paths that others could not understand, often isolating themselves from conventional expectations. Yet that solitude was their power. It allowed them to think, create, and live without the noise of societal pressure. In modern life, this same trait makes Sigma males both